Okay, welcome back. Double J weekend preview. We're recording this on Wednesday because there are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and one Sunday game. I don't really get it. I'm here for it. Don't get me wrong. I love 4 straight days worth of games, but I don't really understand the scheduling at this moment in time. We'll get into all the games. The big game from this weekend, Liverpool, or for this weekend, Liverpool at home to Arsenal. They have another big Anfield game just 7 days after the United game. We're going to get into some of the Carabao Cup games that happened this week. And then at the end of this, we will have an interview with an MLS player, Jack Skahan, a dear friend of the program, dear friend of me and Jace's, will be on the program for the first time. Recurring guest after this, of course. Okay, let's get into it. All right, there was a little delay from when I did my intro to when we recorded, started recording, as I had to see if Jace has watched Slow Horses yet. If you've not watched Slow Horses, this is a free promotion. I saw the star in the Heathrow Airport when I was leaving, Jack Loudon. I pointed at him and went like that, and he looked at me really weird, which is fair because a
Probably
person who
because you
looks at you,
pointed at him.
yeah, pointed at him and looked at him like I was a madman. Um, okay, there are some very good games to get through this weekend. The most interesting of those games is Liverpool at home to Jace's Arsenal. First off, Jace, we are celebrating 4 years of Mikel Arteta today.
Yes, today, the 20th 4 years of Mikel. Best thing that's happened to Arsenal since I became a fan. Slim pickings, nonetheless, but definitely the best thing that's happened. Maybe, I don't even know if there's an argument for anything else,
Cedric Suarez coming to the club.
except for what?
Cedric Suarez being signed.
Yes, yes, except for Cedric Suarez. One of Mikel's first signing, him or Pablo Marie was the first signing. Funnily enough, both loan deals in January that were for some reason made permanent. I guess because there was no money. But yeah, started rough. Um, Won the FA Cup. Was bad again. Boxing Day of 2020 happened.
Uh-huh,
Yeah,
it did.
Boxing Day of
Yeah.
2020. Beat Chelsea, and it's been not straight uphill since then. There's been some steps back, but it's been very good since then. Could see the progress. He's got Arsenal signing big names that everyone wants again, which wasn't happening for years. I mean, you think about the big signings in the late Wenger years. Alexis Sanchez was barely playing at Barcelona. Was kind of a hidden, not a hidden gem, obviously, because he still contributed to Barcelona. But it's not like people were dogfighting over him. Ozil was a balance the books because Gareth Bale came in that summer. But yeah, there was certainly no one like Declan Rice or any of these guys. So very pleased with that. Very pleased with 4 years, and here's to 4 to 10 to 15 more,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I don't know if you saw the report that came out today as far as or maybe yesterday, what United and the new people at Ineos are going to be kind of building their project through. And it's literally what Arsenal have done with Mikel Arteta through the last, I wouldn't even say 4 years, probably the last 2 to 3, but it's really been the whole 4 years because that's when the process started. And have said that we want to have this same type of structure. We want to have the same type of uh, killer
Accountability.
accountability and killer instinct when it comes to some of these guys who haven't been performing. And we're seeing that already with through United, kind of through the manager. But when Ineos come in, they say that wants to be their skeleton type of map for how they go forward with United, which is a compliment, I think, in the highest regards if you're being used as the blueprint for rebuilds of big clubs.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I saw a hilarious tweet that was like, Mikel Arteta has literally taught a Harvard course on how to change the feelings around a club. Because from day one, he was changing the levels of accountability and just what it means to be a professional player. There's no more showing up late. There's no more going out there and not sprinting, giving 100%. There's no more I'm the highest paid player at the club, so I can do whatever the hell I want. And I think the Cronkies bought into that, and they said, look, if you need to get rid of some of these bad apples, we're not going to hold out to get 10, 15 million pounds for him. Just end it. And they did that with Alba, terminated his contract. Lacazette's contract run down, and nothing against Lacazette. He was a good character in the dressing room and all that. Just didn't work out. Ozil terminated his contract. Um, yeah, and just got the guys that weren't 100% bought in out. And that's what it's really all about. You can't, one bad apple can put your project back for however long that bad apple is at the club. Um, whether it's Aubameyang or it's like Cedric. And I don't mean Cedric is a bad character at all. He's a great guy, never complains about anything. But whether it's the importance to the squad, I mean, of those two. But yeah, it is a compliment, and I do think that's a smart move for United. On the field, to each their own, but behind the scenes, this Mikel has set the parameters for how a big club should be run because you can't have guys that take it for granted. You know, like you can't have a guy that's playing for Manchester United or Arsenal and just be like, oh yeah, I play for Manchester United or Arsenal. It should be one of the biggest honors of your life to do that, and you should be giving everything you can to stay at that level. And if you don't belong there. And I think that's the best way to run things.
I completely agree. If you're looking at just from a perspective of a guy who has a lot of bad apples his side at the moment, and in general for the last 10 years, United have had a huge problem with player power and all this stuff. The clean out that happened at Arsenal has been one of the best that we have seen in recent, as far as even the world goes, footballing memory. Because you look at a team like even Barcelona, who have tried to do it now probably two or three times, and it looks like they're finally maybe getting there. But again, this season hasn't looked that great. So, and it's what 3 years ago, probably around this time, that Josh Kroenke, as Jace talks about the Kroenkes, had the conversation with Arteta that was filmed on Amazon Prime, where it was him kind of saying, "We're with you till the end here. Like, we're not gonna. Don't worry about us pulling a trigger early. Don't worry about anything like that because we are behind you. This hasn't really been long enough for us to see anything."
Yeah, that's part of the thing too. If you think you have your guy, you have to give him every single opportunity to succeed. And I always talk about the one win in 10 games. And I believe the one win was a 1-0 victory over a Burnley team that either got relegated that season or got relegated the next. And they didn't pull the trigger, no matter how much Arsenal fans wanted them to. Again, I always say it. If any Arsenal fan claims they were never Arteta out, they're lying to your face because it was bad. I mean, it was ugly. Losing to everyone left and right, couldn't score, couldn't defend, all of it. And yeah, the Kroenke stuck with him. I think that Amazon interview was great. It was like in the cafeteria at the facility.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been transformative. It
Yeah.
was a very good move, and he's rebuilt it. And it was something I don't think Unai wanted to do or was capable of doing. Fantastic manager, 100%. We talk about it all the time. He's absolutely hitting a home run at Aston Villa right now, but he doesn't have to. He's not having to gut the culture of the club. He's not having to weather the storm. He just come in. He's got his players and doing well. So yeah, 4 years later, it was a great move. Going back and reading some of the comments are so funny. Like, what are you doing? Like under the original post and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Get this guy out my club. Um, Good thing that Arsenal did not just do a fan poll and take it like that. I always appreciate that. To this game, congratulations, Mikel. Woohoo. Birthday party, pop the champagne. But let's maybe save that champagne for this weekend. Jace, Liverpool are going to want to have a "this is Anfield" game after last weekend. After some of the comments, there's been a little bit of beef. Obviously, Roy Keane came out and called him arrogant, all this different stuff. There has to be a slight concern going into this that it is Anfield, Liverpool 1v2. This is going to be a great game, but crap, I don't want to see these guys after what's happened.
yeah, I can guarantee you if there's 34 shots from Liverpool, Arsenal will not win. Can't let them, have an attacking game like that again because they'll figure out a way this time. That's not happening 2 games in a row. But I feel better about this game at Anfield than I have about any game at Anfield in my life. Now, Do I think that means that Arsenal are going to go in there and thump them? Absolutely not. Does it mean that I think Arsenal can't lose? Absolutely not. I think everything's on the table here. Loss, draw, win. Um, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I like the midfield matchup. I like the defense. Obviously, Mo Salah is a problem. I don't know who is going to play left back. I think it would be ill-advised to play Zinchenko there personally. Really missing Tomiyasu for this game. This is like the two Liverpool games are his games. He does so well against Mo Salah, at least as best as you can against a guy that's you know the best or the second best player in the league. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be hard. Obviously, it's Anfield. It's all that's been talked about for the last week is how quiet they were. Onana dunked on them, just like didn't affect me or whatever he said. Didn't even notice something like that. Uh, Something pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling fairly decent about it.
I would be too, just because there are Liverpool have struggled a lot in their build-up this year from the back. I've seen some of that from Liverpool fans this week saying our build-up out of the back this entire season has been quite poor. It's where our errors come from. And then a stat gets dropped today that Arsenal have won the most balls inside a team's final third out of any singular team in the Premier League, and it's a vast difference versus 1v2 in that. I believe I sent you the stat here. I'm trying to find it now. Where yeah, Arsenal have won 138 either tackle, interceptions, or block passes in the final third this year. Spurs are second with 112. So it's a pretty big difference. Spurs gave this Liverpool team trouble, regardless of the calls, regardless of the 10 men. Spurs were giving this Liverpool team trouble. That was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Anfield's a completely different thing. But I agree with Jace. They should feel confident. Last week against Brighton scared the hell out of me as a United fan, having to see these guys again. They don't let you get out with ease. They just don't. Saliba, Gabriel, Rice are just freaks right now. Specifically right now, they have finally, and I don't even say finally figured it out. They've taken a step higher than what they were even doing at the beginning part of this season. If I were Liverpool, that midfield connection to your defense more than your attack is more crucial this weekend than how you get going forward. Because get going forward for Liverpool is pretty easy. Like in general, they're just have better attacking players. That connection and that ball movement from defense to attack is going to be crucial this weekend because if Arsenal are able to take advantage this weekend of those chances they've been getting all year, if they're able to take advantage of the space that they're going to have winning the ball up high in the field, it could be a 2-0 game to Arsenal and it could look easy. Do I think that's going to happen? Do I think it's going to be easy at Anfield? Absolutely not. But they do have to be a lot better than they've been at the start of this season and through this. I guess we're almost halfway through now to be able to take down this Arsenal side because defensively, they're just a unit. They're a unit. They're a behemoth, monstars, all the generic phrases you want to throw at superstars. That's what these guys are.
Yeah, I think their attacking game plan will be simple. Get it from the defense to Mo Salah as fast as possible before Zinchenko can recover, and it's one-on-one with Gabriel. And I mean, you favor Mo Salah against any center back in the world, pretty much.
Are you
So
are you going to be missing Xhaka a lot this game? You think? People have been talking about how much they miss Xhaka, but I think Havertz has provided offensively what you've been missing with Xhaka. Do you think defensively you could be missing that guy, that type of guy this weekend?
I wouldn't be shocked if Declan Rice was playing that position and Jorginho plays.
I like that.
Um, I don't think Thomas is going to make it. I think there's a lot of smoke around that to get them thinking about it. There's a chance, but I don't think that's likely that he plays. If he's fit, he's going to start, and Declan will play
Yeah.
number 8. But yeah, I'd be fine with Havertz starting too. I think his late runs could be good against them. I think Alexis McAllister is out for Liverpool, so it will likely be Endo, who has his strengths, has his weaknesses. It's pretty obvious what it is. But yeah, I think the midfield matches up well either way, no matter who is playing, whether it's Jorginho or Havertz. Again, I would start Jorginho personally. You can always bring Havertz on. It's like a little bit like what I was saying with Tomiyasu before he was injured. It's like you can always bring Zinchenko on, but if he makes an error leading to a goal, you can't get that back.
Yep.
So I think that's the way to do it. And I think the biggest thing is to kill the game, kill the pace, similar to St. James's last season. Don't have to necessarily waste a bunch of time because that just doesn't work anymore this year, and you're going to end up with a bunch of guys on yellow cards. Especially with as hungry as these refs are to give Arsenal players yellow cards recently. Cal got another one at the weekend for flailing his arms around or something. I don't even know, but yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think killing the game, keeping the ball, just boring them to death, essentially getting the crowd out of it, and no firing them up. Last year, when it was 2-0 down, Xhaka did something stupid, fired the crowd up, and it was an onslaught from that moment on. None of that this year. No shithousery, for lack of a better term. Just go out there, find your business, keep your heads down, and try and dominate this Liverpool team.
Yep. A little DYJ game, if you will. Do your jobs and what happens, happens. I think if at bare minimum, if this Arsenal team that we've seen all season comes out, it's a point. I really can't see Liverpool having the consistent pressure they had last weekend against this Arsenal defense. I think Arsenal's midfield is built for games like this. I agree with Jace on the Jorginho Rice partnership to give Zinchenko a little bit of help on that left side, especially when he likes to get going forward. And Jace, I've got some great news for you. You do not have Michael Oliver or Anthony Taylor as your referee this weekend. Congratulations.
Yeah, Kavanaugh's been pretty bad against Arsenal this year. Um, yeah, I think
No
he was
win
a radar for the
situation.
Newcastle game.
Yeah, he was.
Look, there's just no good ones. There's really maybe one or two that are like that will make the occasional mistake, but most of all, you can tell they don't referee with their emotions, which is all at this point. A lot of what we're asking for is just don't referee with your emotions. Don't get offended because someone gets pissed off that you made a call that you think is correct. Like, but yeah. Um, have you been seeing the switching topics? Have
Mm.
you been seeing the rumors that Timber is back on the field?
Yeah, he's a robot. He's a robot. There's the only explanation is or Mikel got that doctor that Pep was using.
Oh, send him to Spain.
Yeah, send him to
Yeah,
Spain
whatever
and all
that
of a sudden
surgery
good.
is something that isn't legal in other countries. I mean, sometimes even American athletes get sent to Spain to do that stuff. Uh, but yeah, I still would not expect him back before March 1st. I mean, I think people get too excited when they hear someone's on the grass. On the grass could mean jogging in tennis shoes. Like,
It's all about what shoes they're in.
yeah, like, you don't until you see the pictures of them doing individual training and you can see whether they're wearing cleats or tennis shoes, like it helps a lot. But he's been grinding. I mean, he's in London always. He's always there doing. I don't think he's missed a home game this season. He may have missed one because I believe he went back to Ajax for like a little sending off or something. But besides that, I don't think he's missed one. So it'd be great to have him back. I don't want to spend too much time harping on this game before a game that hasn't happened, saying
Yeah,
the same stuff. But my last thing on it is Arsenal played Liverpool 3 times in the next 7 games, the 2 league games and the FA Cup, and I love that.
yeah. 1v2
Liverpool will be
matchups
out of
are
the way
fun.
by February 2nd. Arsenal will not have to play Liverpool again this season.
That is so nice.
Yeah, I think that's a nice thing to get out of the way early. I believe 2 games at the Emirates FA Cup, and then obviously the second Premier League game, and then this game at Anfield. It also, your assistant coaches can be thinking about Liverpool consistently. They don't have to come back to all the stuff that they thought they're thinking about for these last couple of weeks in 3 months. Now, like, some of the guys behind the scenes can keep their focus on Liverpool for the next month or so, month and a half ish, and then be done with them for the season, which, I think everyone would love to be done with Liverpool by February 2nd.
I'd like to be done with Liverpool by February 2nd.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
So
be. I'd like to be. Actually, I might be. Well, no, I don't know because FA Cup stuff. So Jace is right. That's a huge thing for 1v2 matchup, which right now looks like it's going to be the 1v2 for the season until Boogeyman gets going over in Saudi Arabia.
they made
Once
the final, by the way. Might as well mention that. They're playing Marcelo's Fluminense from Brazil.
Good job, Pep. Had a
Yep.
baby. Had a way to stand up for Europe, as you
Yes.
per usual.
And obviously, them and Brentford are off this weekend because of that.
Yeah, which is great for Brentford. I think they needed a little bit of
Mhm.
rest. It's nice to have that game off during the injury period. So,
4 weeks till Tony's back as well from today. 4 weeks from
yep,
today.
yep. So that'll be great. Okay, prediction time. Jace, your Liverpool Arsenal prediction.
I'm going to go with 2-1. Arsenal, I don't think it's going to be easy by any means. A win is not guaranteed. A draw is not guaranteed. Um, Got to go out there and play and try to dominate the ball more, or not more, longer than last season because it was all going great until Liverpool got back control of the ball and just started the onslaught.
Yeah, there. I think there is an opportunity for that to happen and them to kick on. It's a big get right game for Liverpool. They are on less rest. They had to play today against West Ham. We should mention that they're through to the semifinal of the Carabao Cup. Dominic Szoboszlai with a rocket. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, that's Ronaldo when was asked what kind of free kick style do you have, and he goes rocket. Um, it was a good win for Liverpool. West Ham really looked like they didn't want to be a part of it. But my heart is saying 2-1 Arsenal with Jace. My mind is saying 1-1 because Liverpool are not going to go 1 point from six at Anfield. 1-1. 1-1. I don't know. It's a tough game. I don't think Arsenal lose this game. I think they are the better side, but Anfield's just Anfield. Anything can happen.
Yeah, different animal. If they do draw and Villa beat Sheffield United, they will be top at Christmas.
Okay, I want that. Correction, I'm fully in on the 1-1 now. No offense to Jace. Listen, I think I'm on board with you winning the league. I don't know, but I want Villa top at Christmas at least, just so we can always say, remember when Villa were top at Christmas?
Yeah, last non-Big Six team to be top at Christmas. Who do you think?
Leicester?
Yep, and they
Boom.
obviously want to win it.
Boom. Ooh, that would be crazy if that stat just held true for like ever. It was like anytime
Yeah,
a non-Big Six side was top at Christmas, it'd be
yeah. Leicester
guaranteed.
also were not dealing with Europe
They were not dealing with Europe. They were
like Villa were.
also not dealing with this Arsenal team, this Liverpool team, or the Monstars that are Manchester City.
Sure.
Okay. All right, let's get into the Thursday game. As we said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games this weekend. Palace are at home to Brighton. Jace, I have a fun fact for you. Palace at home to Brighton has ended 1-1 every single game since 2019.
Would not shock me if that that happens again
Yeah. Yeah.
at all. Um, but Palace obviously big result last week coming back against City, getting the 2-2 draw. We'll see if that can propel them a little bit. I mean, we've talked about it plenty. They've been struggling the last couple months. Um, Even though they got their guys back, they've been struggling a bit. But yeah, I think Brighton are pissed. They aren't used to getting bossed around like they were last week, and I think we could see that. Uh,
I do
see
too.
them see them come out flying in this game, especially um, if Palace aren't ready. If they don't come out ready to play, I could see Brighton blitzing them.
I could also see Palace doing exactly what they did last weekend, just sitting in that block, having Chris Richards as your defensive midfielder, as a center back, and saying, we're going to counterattack the hell out of you. Good luck. And Brighton will like that because last weekend they were suffocated like an anaconda in their own half. So I think, or suffocated by an anaconda in their own half. And I think there's going to be a little bit of, oh, we can breathe. This is great. That invites counterattacks and that invites what Palace like to do. IU will be back, right, from his suspension. It was only a 1 game suspension for the double yellow, or was it two?
I believe so. Let me check really
Okay.
quick.
Eze should be back. He was back in the squad last weekend, but I think he'll be back in the 11. Jefferson Lerma most
He is
likely
back.
still out. Okay, so he will be back. Jefferson Lerma still out, and I would imagine Chris Richards starts in that defensive
Lerma
midfield
has a
role.
chance of playing as of today. Roy Hodgson has said Lerma has made much quicker progress than expected. Late
Ooh,
fitness.
okay, maybe not then.
That's big for them.
That is very big. I do think there's a chance for Brighton to get right here. I also just never, people know this about me. I've said it since this podcast started because the first game that we actually previewed on this podcast, I believe, was Selhurst Under the Lights with the Arsenal game.
Yeah, it
Jace.
was Friday night to start the season.
Yes. So people know I love Selhurst under the lights. I love Palace under the lights. I'm going to go 1-1 because I found that stat and I have to stick with it. But it would not surprise me if Brighton come out here and just kind of run through a Palace team that are on less rest than them. Oh, no, they're on the same amount of rest. They were on the same time slot last weekend. You and City were, weren't you? No, Palace have more rest. They were on Saturday. Brighton were on Sunday.
Yeah,
Okay, so Palace have a little bit more rest. It wouldn't surprise me here though if Brighton figure out they can breathe again, they can play the ball, and they're able to get some goals.
yeah, I'm with you. I'm going 1-1 again because not just because of the history. I think Palace may have figured something out with the three center backs plus Chris Richards playing DM. Um, I think it's going to be hard to score on them. Took a fantastic pass from Phil Foden to get their first, and then I don't even remember what the second one was.
I don't remember the second one either. I was trying to remember it.
Yeah, what regardless, they're playing well, and we'll see. But I'm going to go
Okay.
1-1.
Okay. 1-1 for both of us. Let's move on to the Friday night game. Headphones are giving me problems today. Um, trying to stretch them out a little bit. That feels better. Villa at home to Sheffield. Those know Villa at home. 15 straight now, and they are back at home for 16 in a row. They will not have Boubacar Kamara, Douglas Luiz, Luca Digne, or most likely Yuri Tielemans or Leon Bailey. Unai was saying that they could be doubts. Jace, that's a lot of people out. Those are a lot of key guys out, but it's Villa at home against Sheffield United.
Perfect time for this game. If they're going to have a game where they have a lot of people injured, this is the one. I don't think it's. Oh wait, Douglas Luiz might be back.
Okay,
I think their
correction.
suspensions might be over. Um,
Oh, yeah, they are.
yeah, so Dina and Douglas Luiz will be back. But yeah, Bailey and Yuri Tielemans likely out. I don't think it matters all that much. This team's a wagon at home. Um, Again, 15 straight wins, not unbeaten wins. Um, I don't think that changes here. I don't think we need to harp on this one too long. It would be, I think, one of the most shocking results of the season so far if Sheffield United won this game. I think a draw would be up there too because I mean I think Villa could just absolutely assault them.
No one has done it yet. No one has gotten a point at Villa Park this season. If
Right.
bottom place Sheffield United do it, it is the craziest result of the year at this point in time. I just
They
don't
have had a
see it.
full week under their new manager now, at least. So that's something, I guess. And they unfortunately they had their new manager bounce right away. Like the game was literally like 2 days later, the next day. Um, but yeah, I don't see it here. It's going to take a hell of a defensive effort from Sheffield United to keep them out of the net. But yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go 3-0. I
Okay.
think it could be worse though.
I'm gonna go 4-0, and it's a Jacob Ramsey game. Just hear me out, people. Jacob Ramsey game. Wait on it. He hadn't gotten a whole lot of chances this season so far to prove himself. I like him a lot. I think he scores this weekend. I think he puts in a great performance for Villa. Okay, move right along into the Saturday slate. West Ham are at home to Manchester United after a shock point at Anfield last weekend. Can United get the full three this weekend, Chase?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. I think it'll take another good performance. We haven't seen any sort of away consistency this season from United though. And that would be my biggest concern.
Yeah,
Would be
we
the
suck.
consistency away from home and the fact that sometimes West Ham just click in the attack and Kudus, Bowen, Paqueta, Ward-Prowse, the latter two both got rested today in the Carabao Cup, so they'll be fresh. Um, but yeah, I think if United come out and play with the same energy that they did at Anfield, the attack will obviously have many more opportunities just because, West Ham aren't Liverpool. Um, but yeah, I think it's still going to be very tough. I also think this is probably the second best game of the weekend. I'm not sure it's really even much of a debate. You could say Spurs Everton maybe, but um, I would say this one's probably the second best of the weekend. You have any update on the injuries for
No,
United? Anyone back?
No one's back. We are still absolutely riddled. We talked about guys training on grass. Lissandro is back in cleats. So I think he was back in cleats about last week, but that's just huge regardless. Our little man back in training on cleats. That's good. Ericsson's back. He was back in training this week. I don't think he'll be really ready to start this game. I don't think we should start Christian Ericsson, even if he's ready. I would go with the Mino, Amrabat, and then Bruno's going to come back in. I would go Mino, Amrabat, Bruno and see how it works. We haven't seen that fully really this season. I want to see it. I think it would work well against this West Ham midfield. I have slight confidence in this side because I'm an incredibly massive fan of this team and I'm hugely biased. But when I'm thinking with my head, these guys haven't been able to put two performances really on the bounce, specifically away from home. We haven't seen two straight away from home performances yet. And I would like to see that personally. I would like to see us, maybe get 3 points away from home, not just being able to celebrate a nil-nil draw with Liverpool at Anfield. So I'm confident. I'm quietly confident. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm thinking these guys have done this before, and I shouldn't be fully bought in quite yet.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's too early, especially away from home, to be completely bought in. Like these guys are going to show up every single week on the road. We just haven't seen that this season. I do think he has found 11 guys that are going to give it all. Um, that being um, Onana, no Dallo for this game because of the stupid double yellow, but Varane and Evans at center back, Luke Shaw left back, Bruno coming into the midfield, Mino, Amrabat, and then Garnacho, Hojlund, and Anthony up front. I wouldn't be surprised if Marcus Rashford gets a chance to take his place back, and I think he has earned the right to have that opportunity to get um, the chance to win his place back. But that being said, if he doesn't perform, then I think you go straight back to whoever, whether it's Anthony or Garnacho, that drops to the bench. But I would not be surprised if it's an unchanged 11 outside of Bruno coming in, and then obviously the Dallo
Yeah,
double yellow.
I think Wan-Bissaka just slots right in. I agree with Jace. There's it's a once an episode Dylan forgets how to speak moment. There was a stat that came out this week that was players, the wingers, how many times have they played the ball into Rasmus Højlund? Marcus Rashford is top of that list sufficiently. Like he is very much atop that list. Garnacho, I think, has played the ball to him 8 times in all competitions, which is crazy because they have put a lot of minutes together at this point. I like Alejandro Garnacho a lot. He is still a young kid who we need to be very careful with how much he plays. Saying that, I've said Kobe Mino needs to play every single game. So who am I to really judge on this stuff? But I agree with Jace. West Ham away, it's a good game for, hey, we need to rely on our number 10. We need to rely on our main guy. You're our main guy. Him and Bruno are the main guys, regardless of what anyone says. It's Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. Those are the guys we look to. And we need to be able to count on him. And like I said, winter Rashford. We're getting to winter Marcus Rashford where he starts to kick on. I would like that kick on point to maybe, be the start of the season going forward, but I'm okay if he just starts banging goals left, right, and central right now like he did last season.
Yeah, I mean that would certainly be a huge help. And do you have anything else?
No, 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 no. There's nothing more to cover on this game.
Yeah,
We're trying to dumb down these previews because we get into word counts, as we say. I'm going to go United 3, West Ham 1. I think United find a way to score goals on the road magically. I think Marcus Rashford is back. And I think Rasmus Højlund gets his first goal after the guy that they've been memeing him about gave him his shout out.
yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go 2-2. 2-2, good result for West Ham, but better from United
Okay.
than we've been saying. Some
Hey,
sort of consistency.
I'll take that. Well, no, 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 no. Wait, 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 wait. I will not take a 2-2. I will take consistency. I will not take a 2-2.
Yeah, I'm talking consistency and performance.
I will take that every day of the week. Okay. Quite a big story in the next game we are going to get into. Forest at home to Bournemouth. Steve Cooper has been officially fired. this week in one of the unanimously worst decisions in recent managerial history, and we were very much anti what Bournemouth, the team they're facing, we were very anti what they did last year with Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, and that was more one people could somewhat understand. He did his job really well, kept him up. But the new owners felt that playing like that wasn't sustainable to keep them in the league. But who knows? They may have been right, as Iraola has been kicking on completely. But yes, the Steve Cooper thing makes no sense to me.
Mm-mm.
It really doesn't. Last year when they're in this position, he gives them a contract extension. And then he sacks him and immediately hands Nuno a 2.5 year contract, summer 2026. And I don't think he's going to fill it out. I really don't. I have completely lost faith in Nuno. The end of the Wolves tenure was awful, completely unsustainable, really just truly terrible. Like, I mean, they were battling relegation with Adama and Raul, who a season or two prior, Adama probably assisted 11 or 12 goals to Raul, and they just fell off a cliff. Then, of course, he goes to Spurs, and it's a freaking disaster. It's sacked in 2 months or whatever. And then obviously sacked in Saudi Arabia. And now back at Forest, I just don't see how he's going to make this much better. I think you briefly mentioned this before. Him and Gibbs White have had problems in the past. Um, and he is their best player and he's their most important player. And they, assuming one of Luton Burnley get their crap together, they will get relegated if Morgan Gibbs White is not, you know, bouncing. Because especially with Awani out, I'm about to look to see how long he's going to
It's
be
long.
out.
It is a
Yeah,
long-term injury. So he's going to
until
be out until like,
mid-March
yeah,
at
March.
least. He is out. So it is Gibbs White. You got the two pacey wingers, extremely inconsistent in their tangible contributions, goals, and assists. So yeah, I think it was a really bad decision. These guys know Steve Cooper. He's been there for what? This was 2.5 or 3.5 years. I think 2.5,
Two and a half
three.
years, 2.5 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
approaching. Well, actually, it's probably approaching his third
three. Because
year.
didn't he come in the middle of the season because they
He
were getting
he came in the
right?
championship, yeah, and they were bottom.
Um,
They were in a relegation fight. Got him into the Premier League from a relegation fight, and we are now sacking him for being as good as he was last year. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me personally.
without Brennan
Um,
Johnson.
without Brendan Johnson, you sold your second best player.
Well, they didn't really sign a real. I mean, they signed Alanga and Hudson Odoi. Neither of them are as good as Brennan Johnson. Otherwise, Spurs would have signed them instead.
Exactly. And uh, the thing with Nuno that I've been saying is it's not even like you're not making a step forward. You're not even really, to me, making a lateral step. It's a full step back. It's a step back from play style, and people say Steve Cooper's defensive. Steve Cooper was not defensive. I mean, he was defensive because they had to be, and he liked playing that back five. But when they got going forward, it was fun to watch at times, especially with Johnson, Gibbs White, and towards the end of last season, Yi was really fun to watch. I don't see that happening with Nuno. I'm complete agreement with Jace. There's no way he's going to fill out this contract, especially with the manager or with the ownership that's going on. And if how I judge owners, um, there's kind of like a baseline that I didn't think we need to audibly say. But if your best player doesn't like the manager you're bringing in, he's probably not a good fit for your club. Just a crazy line of thinking there. I know that that's based in logic and stuff like that, which owners don't like to think in those sort of terms. But it is crazy to me that it is a public thing that Morgan Gibbs White and Nuno have had a beef in the past, and you're like, this is the guy to lead us forward. How?
Right. Instead of like, I mean, I think for first and foremost, if you're going to sack him, first thing you do is make a run at Graham Potter, offer him a crap ton of cash. This guy's got plenty of money. He owns Olympiacos too. Like he's flush with cash. He's fine. Would he have said yes? Probably no. Probably not. But I think that was where you had to go first. I don't think this was very well thought out. I think he was like, we're getting Nuno, and that's the replacement. Fabrizio Romano was talking about it probably 3, 4 days before the sacking actually happened, that they were lining him up. And then, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting how the fans react, given that this is at the city ground, bringing this back to the game. They all liked Steve Cooper. None of them wanted him to go. No, it's not looking great, but he got them back to the league for the first time in 2 decades plus. So I don't think they wanted him to go. Um, I disagree with the Nuno hiring more than I disagree with the Steve Cooper sacking because from some sort of angle you can understand why it was wearing out a little bit. I just think the whole situation is just so backwards. But if they don't come to play against this game, this new look Bournemouth and Solanke will rip them to shreds.
Yep. I am seeing a Forest team. I'm predicting a Forest team that comes out there and has a new manager that they didn't ask for, has a sacking that they didn't want. And this whole new manager bounce stuff can really flip. Like it can't always be new manager bounce. It can be new manager shit. Like where you're sitting there like, I don't want to. This guy's asking me to defend more. He's asking me to run more. The system doesn't suit what I want to do. The guy's asking too much of us, yada, yada. And off the rip, it can be negative, negative, negative. I see a bunch of negative Nellies coming out there. I see Bournemouth who are flying high. I see a manager who has made me look like an idiot. And I see this as an easy 3-0 to Bournemouth. They won at Old Trafford 3-0 2 weeks ago. How am I supposed to think that Nuno is all of a sudden going to come in here and get some sort of bounce out of guys that I don't think wanted Steve Cooper gone?
Yeah, and the fans play a big part in the new manager bounce too. Um, look at, I mean, Sean Dyche's Everton. They were going insane. They beat Arsenal 1-0 that day at Goodison. Like, I don't know. I think we saw it, funnily enough, Nuno at Spurs. They did not want him. None of the fans wanted him. They struck out on a bunch of other guys, Conte included, who obviously they ended up getting in the end. But I think it was just toxic from the beginning. I don't think Forest fans want this. Now, that being said, if he goes out there and gets a win, they're, they'll be behind it. They'll be fine. Because as we were been talking about this season, a win at the bottom is huge and it means a lot this year. But I agree with you. I don't think there's a new manager bounce. I think Bournemouth win. I'm going to go 3-1.
Okay. All right, let's move along. Fulham are at home to Burnley in the next 9 a.m. game we're going to get through. We're going to save Spurs Everton for a little bit later. We want y'all to be, got to keep y'all interested somehow. No Raul for Fulham as he did throw his ass into into Sean Longstaff last week. So he's not going to be there. No more chance of the heater continuing to go. Also, did we break up Luca Kolyosho is going to be out for a while? I don't know if we brought up that injury when it happened, but he had surgery and he's going to be out for a significant period of time. We wish him the best getting back.
Yeah, another March guy. Sucks. He was having a great season.
Mm-hmm. And he'll have a better season if he declares for America. I heard murmurs.
Would love that, but I think he's Italian.
He
I don't think
is
he's Italian.
Mamma Mia. On
But
this game.
this game, though, it's not all that appealing without Raul. I'm not going to lie. Burnley have been one of the worst teams to watch this season, if not the worst, them in Sheffield United. Um, it's at least Luton are kind of fun, and the Kennel is something. But yeah, this game just doesn't really fire me up. It's the festive fixtures. We've got games pretty much every day. I mean, we've had Carabao Cup the last 2 days. We've got 4 straight days of Premier League, and then before that, there was maybe only 2 days in the last week and a half that we haven't had games. So this one just does not fire me up. It's smack dab on Saturday when all the other games are going on. We probably won't catch much of this one, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Um, Fulham or better. Fulham, I think, will win.
Ooh, interesting. I think they're going to struggle without Raul. I think Burnley are going to see this as a chance to have a Fulham side who really need those 11 guys, and they don't have them this game. At the same time, I don't think they're picking up three because Marco Silva going to Marco Silva. 1-1 for JJ Watt. How about that? 1-1 for JJ Watt. Okay.
Yeah, a draw wouldn't be the most surprising thing.
No, but they could also go and do the whole 5-0 crap again. So who knows? Um, okay, let's move along. Luton at home to Newcastle. It is about time that we have a Bruno Guimaraes discussion, Jace. This guy. We talked about menaces of the Premier League last weekend when it came to Neil Maupay as one, Emi Martinez as two, and Bruno Fernandes as three. I'm pretty sure Bruno Guimaraes is turning into our fourth uh, biggest menace in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean it's every game now, pretty much, that he comes in and just nails someone late, hits them in the head, uh, just smashes them. Just absolutely, I don't think it was Cole Palmer. It might have been Gallagher. This week that he just bulldozed into for no reason. The ball was gone.
It
So
was Ian Matson, and he bulldozed into him. Ian Matson hit his face on the chalk, and the Sky Sports reporter decided to say, "I don't like that Ian Matson's holding his face." That was an incredible just discussion that he had in his own head. It's like, dude, he has chalk on his face. He has literal chalk on his face. I think there's a reason he's holding it. He went straight through him. There have been multiple times where he's elbowed guys in just the back of the head this year.
Jorginho.
Jorginho, and nothing's been said about it. Nothing has been said about it by the media. You don't think of this guy. It's all from fans that are kind of like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? More than it is um, the media or even like the managers. Like Eddie
No,
Howe.
they're the media darlings. That's why you don't hear about the fact that they're the shittiest team on the road in the league, pretty much.
Yeah,
They're bottom five in road points, 5 points to be specific. But yeah, it's Gummierish is just going out there and clubbing people, and they don't get that stuff called against them. He rarely gets yellow cards. They somehow don't have a red card this season, um, which is literally insane. Between him and Joe Ellington,
what?
how they don't have a red card blows my mind, at least in the league. But yeah, it's insane. And then I think we have to talk about Mr. Virtue signaling Eddie Howe, who's everyone else does wrong, but I don't acknowledge the fact that my own players are some of the biggest menaces in the league. He's pissed because Moises Caicedo slide tackle Anthony Gordon. I will say Caicedo did do that to Martinelli last year, and he missed the rest of the entire season. So maybe he is on to something here with Caicedo. I'll give him a little bit there. But yeah, he acts like everyone else's players do the worst thing in the world, but his players are immune from any sort of criticism. They can't do wrong. Uh, and I guess while we're talking about that Carabao Cup game, um, Trippier just blew it,
Oh yeah,
completely blew
again,
it for the
again.
second game in a row. Mudryk had the weirdest Instagram post of all time, telling him to like just saying it happens. Like, bro, you literally are the one who benefited from the mistake and scored the goal. And then
Yeah.
Trippier obviously blasted his penalty line too. Like,
Uh,
um,
I don't get it. Mudryk is the weirdest person on social media. And back to Eddie Howe's comments, the fact that you can talk about so many other players, but then when it comes to your guys, you're just silent is obscene. It's why people have a problem with you. It's why people are upset with you. It's why people don't like you that much. It's why this whole narrative, like everyone against us, it's like, well, you're creating that. You created it, the everyone against us crap. So don't come complaining at that point when you are the one that are saying these things in press conferences, not even pre-game press conferences, post-game press conferences every time. So I'm with you right there. 5 points from 8 away games going to a place that has given City and Arsenal trouble in literally the last 4 weeks is leading me to believe Luton can get something.
they can. I mean, the away form is that bad that I don't think they're safe against anyone away from home. Um, we literally haven't seen anything of it. Obviously, it's still Dubravka. So there's always that there. I think Anthony Gordon is going to play despite that um, him complaining. I think Isak should play as well. But they're still without Fabian Schär after he got hurt in the whatever game it was last weekend. And yeah, I think Luton are going to put up a massive fight here at the Kennel, and I don't know. I think anything can happen in this game. It wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle got back to their ways on the road and it was fine, and they get a big victory. But I'm not sleeping on Luton here.
I'm not sleeping on Luton. In fact, I'm fully awake. I'm wide awake on Luton. I think they get a result here. Elijah Adebayo, the last that 4 week span we're talking about where Luton start to really impress some people has been the guy for them to get the goals, especially at home. I think he gets another one here. I think a defense that is struggling against a big, tall forward who is hungry for goals is terrifying. Give me Luton 2, Newcastle 1. Boom. Boom.
I love it. I'm gonna go 1-1 draw.
Okay. That's again, this podcast is made of a guy who runs a lot of biases and gets himself worked up, and then the more calm and concise guy in Jace. So
I
Jace is
don't want to
probably right
jinx
here.
it either. That's why I'm not picking them in one.
Smart, 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 smart. Think it with your head. Okay. Next game to get through is Spurs at home against Everton. Everton coming off a tough loss on penalties to Fulham in the FA Cup or FA Cup, Carabao Cup, in which Amadou Onana had one of the worst penalties of all time. Love him to death, but oof.
Yeah, terrible penalty.
Short rest too against the Spurs side. Do we think Spurs have figured it out? I asked you this last week. You said give them a little bit of time. This is the perfect game where it's like, have you figured it out? This is a scorching hot team.
Exactly. This is the Everton have been winning no matter where it is recently. Um, so this is the game for Spurs. They're at home. They're playing a very, very competent team, and I think they need to get the win here if they want to be taken seriously at the top again. With the other four teams, the teams in the top four. But it is absolutely not going to be easy. Everton on short rest is a little scary for me, just considering they're not the deepest team in the world. And with no Decore, we just got to assume Idriss Gana Gueye will come in, possibly. I don't think he'll want to go more attacking, as Decore is the best of both worlds. He's huge and he can score goals. So it's just they don't have a replacement for him in the team. Maybe you could push Onana up a little farther and drop Idriss Gana Gueye into his position. Uh, but yeah, I think Everton should be feeling pretty good here, especially without Basuma. I believe he has a 4 game ban for his straight red card. So yeah, if I'm Everton, I think this game is there for us to take. But that does not mean I don't think Spurs can come out there with Son, Richarlison, who's rounding into form, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, whoever it is, and put some goals up on them.
I completely agree. Destiny Adogi is also out through suspension this game. Giovanni Lo Celso is a question mark going into this game. That's not what you like to hear for a Spurs side that's already beat up. And we've talked about it. And we're, again, beating a dead horse here on Spurs without their first 11 or just not the same team. Everton without Decore is going to be very interesting because he's been their guy this year. They need Calvert-Lewin to step up. They need some of these Dwight McNeil and Harrison to step up with goals more than anything just this game. And I think they can. I really do think this is the second most interesting game of the weekend. Jay said United against West Ham could be to him. I think this is the second most interesting game to me, just from the fact Everton have been scorching hot. Spurs have seemed like they've kind of figured it out with these guys beat up, want to run into the buzzsaw that is Sean Dyche right now. 1-1. They get an away point.
I'll go 2-1 Everton.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. Jace picking Arsenal fan picks against Spurs. In other news, water wet. All right.
Shocking.
Yeah, I'm astonished. Okay, final game to get through this weekend. There's not a Monday game, is there?
No,
No.
Monday's Christmas.
Monday is Christmas. Hey, look at that. Kind of
Yeah,
snuck up on
Wolves
me.
and Chelsea drew the short straw, getting the one Christmas Eve game.
Yeah, I was wondering why there's only one Sunday game. You know, you get wrapped up in the schedule and complaining about the schedule. You kind of forget that holidays exist.
Right.
Yeah. Christmas Eve game, Wolves at home to Chelsea. Does Mykhailo Mudryk continue to find himself, or is this Gary O'Neill getting an early Christmas present?
Um, I don't know. I think Chelsea are too hit or miss right now. Their players are too hit or miss too. Legitimately make like a prediction of what I or a well-informed prediction, I should say. Like I don't know what to think of them. They're obviously in the semifinals of the Carabao Cup now, which could be a huge boost for them and for Poch if they can win that competition. Um, who's left? Liverpool, Fulham, and Middlesbrougugh.
Yeah, Burrow got through. Michael
Yeah,
Carrick.
yeah, beat Port Vale. They wanted to guarantee there was a lower league side in the semifinals, let's be honest.
Yeah, they did.
And I
Yeah, they
don't blame them.
totally
You know,
did.
good for them. Good for them. Uh, but yeah, I just picked this game. I don't know. I don't think Chelsea are very consistent. I think their only consistent player is Cole Palmer. We've talked about it a million times. Um, Mudryk, I'm just still on wait and see. Believe it when I see it. He did well this weekend, but again, it was a huge Trippier mistake. He still had to score it, but it was a mistake nonetheless. And yeah, I do want to briefly talk about Enzo Fernandez. There are reports out there that he's been struggling with the same groin injury that Emil Smith Rowe had. It's has due to growing, getting taller. Smith Rowe was out for 6 to 7 months after the surgery and didn't look the same again until about 2 games before he got re-injured um, earlier this season. So that's a huge concern. If Enzo has to get the surgery, he's out for the rest of the season most likely. Or maybe comes back at the very end. But again, Smith Rowe was not the same at all. You can also try and rest it out, which Arsenal did, which Leipzig did with ESR. And again, it just never went away. At some point, you have to bite the bullet and get the surgery. So that would not be ideal for them.
Yeah, I'm looking at um their injury list, and he was asked to go out because he was a little sick before the game. He suffered some problems in his stomach. He wanted to play and see if it went well. It didn't go so well, so that's why he had to come off. That was Poch on yesterday after the game. So claiming illness, I've seen the reports. I would really hope that's not the case. Um, Regardless of our kind of dogging of Chelsea, we do like Enzo Fernandez. I thought he is a great player. I think he's in a tough situation right now with the situation Chelsea's going through more than anything. So we want to see the best for him. Hopefully that is not the case. But again, if it is, like Jay says, it's just a weird injury you got to go through. Um, from the Wolves injury point of view, Pedro Neto's a 50-50, apparently. Murmuredly. I don't know about that. I think they
That
could
would
just be
be
doing,
huge for
yeah,
them if he can run it. If they can get him running at that Chelsea defense, um,
yeah.
they could do some damage, especially with they're down. I don't know. I don't think Aguero's back. And they're obviously down Reece James as well. So
Be a tough
yeah, I
week.
think that'll be a huge boost for them.
He's apparently they're expecting him to be in the match day squad, according to Gary O'Neill. Jose Sa is still a doubt in net for Wolves. I don't think it matters. Again, I've called Chelsea the same way I've started to realize United are. You just can't trust them going into any single game, especially away from home. While I say that, Chelsea have had a better away form than they have home form this year, which is odd. Um, I still think that they're going to struggle here. I still think Wolves are going to force them to break them down. I think Chelsea have struggled with that all season. Give me 1-1. Give me a Gary O'Neill point.
I'm going to go 1-1 as well. I think Wolves can offer enough and can hold out long enough.
Okay. All right. That's our preview done. Jack on the other side of this. And then we're going to have Dogs of the Weekend on the other side of Jack. So preview, interview, Dogs of the Weekend, a big episode for the people. All right. Well, you don't have to do. I was expecting to have to do the I've been Dylan, I've been Jace thing. We don't have to do that this time. We will be right back with our interview with Jack. Okay, peace. Okay, welcome back, Double J. What is a weekend preview? But we have a special interview, a dear friend of ours, Jack Skahan of the San Jose Earthquakes. Jack, we obviously knew you through school. This isn't some random MLS player we found. We knew Jack in high school. He is now on the San Jose Earthquakes. Jack, welcome to Double J.
Thanks for having me. I
Absolutely.
didn't I didn't know that there'd be a soccer podcast in Memphis. It's pretty surprising.
Yeah, we are one of one, and I think we're going to stay like that for as long as we can.
I like it.
We obviously knew you. We went to school with you. You left to go to the Union Academy, and just getting into this off the bat, how different was it going into academy at that age versus what you've experienced so far?
Like at the time, it was so different. Uh, I mean, they were pulling guys in. Obviously, that area of the country, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York has like so many good players. But they were pulling guys in from all over, like the Caribbean islands. There were guys coming in from Africa, Europe, and so it was a huge culture shock at the time. Like it was wild. I mean, I was just like a white kid from Memphis who went to an all boys private school with you guys. It was crazy, but um, yeah, it was different. But the soccer part is kind of what started my path to getting to the next level. To be honest, because it is a step above what I was used to. Just being around. I mean, I was telling somebody asked me about it last week, and I think there are four guys on my U16 team who played with the men's national team, um, which is crazy.
That's
Um,
insane.
and so it was just a step above, and there's probably like 8 or 9 pros now from that team. Um, and then once you compare it to college, it's different too because college is on top of the soccer. It's uh, you're going to college as well, so it's not like when you're 16 and you're in that environment, you're really just focused on soccer. We didn't really do much school,
Which is
for
crazy.
better or worse. Yeah, we
Little
literally
afternoon
didn't go
math.
to school. I
Yeah.
mean, no, that's the thing. Like even just a little bit, no, it didn't exist. But maybe it's different now. Um, but yeah, it was interesting. And then at the end of it, I was like, well, I'm gonna go to school. Like I'm not gonna try to sign a contract. So let's just go home. And I just came back in the US.
Yeah, and we had the pleasure of playing with Jack in his senior year, a little injured.
A
And
little injured.
how good was that team? How good was our senior year team? Not, we're not going to hamper on this too long, but
Good.
we
Good.
were the underachievers of all high school teams, but we were raw.
We were good. I mean, there were. I mean, yeah, we shouldn't have lost a game ever. When you look back at like kind of the games that we lost, I mean, Michael too. I mean, it shouldn't have really been very close.
No, and I think what was it? Michael, who ended up at Clemson and Oregon State. You, who obviously went to UNC. Matthew probably could have gone and played some
100%.
level of D1 or D3 soccer. I still
Yeah.
hold to this day that Jace could have played some level of D3 or D1
Uh huh.
soccer. And Sapaya went on to all this other stuff. So that team was just stacked. And then
It was stacked.
there was bench mob Dylan Jones there ready to go at any moment.
Made the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you got into your recruitment, because I remember when this was going on when we were there, it was kind of like a thing for us where we were sitting there, we are kind of like, dude, you are getting recruited to big time schools, you're getting recruited to the top of the top. How weird and how different do you think that could have been as far as like development goes? Because you talk about when you were at the academy, how it was all focused on soccer. You go to college, it kind of changes. Your recruitment was very much, I want to get a degree and I want to go to school.
For sure. That's really what it came down to. Because like whether or not I could have signed a homegrown deal, I don't know because I didn't stay. But either way, I was going to school, and my parents probably wouldn't have even let me have the choice there. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it was like, all right, if I'm going to go to school, I'm gonna try to enjoy it. And it came down to a group of schools, and a couple of them were less soccer focused, more academic. Like if you went to an Ivy League school, um, and there was Stanford, which was like a combination of both. But before I went to school, they weren't great. They became great when I was in school. Um, but for me, it was always I wanted to go to UNC. Like I had family go to UNC. My grandfather played basketball at UNC. Um, I always wanted to go there, and it kind of became an easy decision for me, despite some of the options. Like look at it on paper without any emotion, you're probably not going to UNC, right?
Right.
But um, I mean, it was the right decision for me. It ended up soccer helped me get into business school, and um, still worked out in terms of like the academic side. In soccer, we were a top 5 team for 4 years, which is great. It's competitive, and but yeah, when you talk about the recruitment side of it, it's hard. Like if I didn't go to Philly, it would have been difficult because how many coaches are really looking into a guy um, in Memphis, Tennessee. Like there's no soccer players in Tennessee to this day still. Like I think Nashville's MLS Academy can help. I think it'll help. Um, but at the time, like there was nothing. It was hard to get seen. And so that was probably part of what the Philly thing was for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just hard.
It's
It's
tough
hard to get
because
recruited if
especially
you're not from like a hotbed.
Yeah, and you like Memphis, Tennessee, and like you say, Tennessee in general is not a hotbed for talent or notoriously because, well, one, there isn't that many academies. Like if you wanted to play club soccer here, it was rush or you weren't playing club soccer.
Yeah, and I mean, you
Yeah,
traveled, didn't you, to play club
yeah,
because the
yeah. I
area
played
just
with a
wasn't
team
good
from
enough?
Florida. Yeah. Well, they just weren't playing anything competitive, and there were coaches across the country just saying, "Look, you got to find another team." And just started playing these bigger tournaments with the team from Florida before I went to Philly.
Did that team include Christian Pulisic? I tried to find this article on the internet. I think it's gotten sponged because there was once an article on the internet that was literally like a list of the names on that Florida team you were on, and it was insane.
Yeah, the Florida team, no, the Florida team had some guys who play pro now, but not to his level. The Christian thing was like it was a program called like ID2. It's essentially like an identification program, and they would pull kids from around the country, and we took this trip to Europe. And we were in like eighth grade, and Christian was one of the guys. I mean, there were a bunch of guys on that team too. Obviously, he's the biggest one. And most of those guys ended up being like U17 national team guys. I think 4 or 5 are on the men's team right now. You know, a bunch of them play in the MLS or in Europe. So yeah, that must have been like 2012 playing that. That's when I first met him. And you could tell that's one of the crazy things about him is you knew when we were like 13 years old that he was different.
Yeah, that was, I remember, and you say that because when you came back from Philly in the Union Academy, I remember specifically the first day that we practiced with you, the way you hit the ball versus actually like pass the ball versus everyone else at that practice was different. And I was like, oh, this is what Division 1 athletes and Division 1 soccer players are like. Like this is a different level than I had even seen at that point.
Yeah, and then you compare it to like a kid like that, and it's like it's just different.
Yeah, yeah,
It's different.
exactly. Okay, moving on to North Carolina. You're Jack is a relatively level-headed guy. I'm going to give him some compliments here, give him his flowers. Were you
Let's go with
ever
relatively for sure. Maybe not. Maybe not fully. We've seen some things.
we
Some
have
things. There've maybe been some moments.
there have been moments when he's been level-headed, but yeah, there have been moments where hey, calm down there, brother. Were you ever at UNC just shitting your pants, sitting around like we're a top 5 team? I'm in here, just a kid from Memphis, Tennessee.
100%. Like when I first got there, I don't know what it was. Something about getting there when I was first there. I was like, I'm never going to play on this fucking team because we would have these captains practices before preseason. I was there like 2 weeks before preseason. We'd have these captains practices, and you're like 18, right? Like you've never really done the full gym program thing. Like your body's not really there. And these like 22-year-old guys who played 4 years of Division 1 college at a high level are just like kicking your ass, like physically, right? Like there's
Yeah.
just nothing you can do about it. And I remember telling one of the older guys, I was like, I don't think I'm going to play here until I'm a junior. Like to be honest with you, I'll just take the red shirt and like honestly just join a fraternity or something this year. Um, and then it ended up not working out that way. I mean, there takes time. Like it takes a little bit of time, probably preseason, but 100% there was a time I was like, I'm not good enough to be here.
Yeah, I can
Yeah, but
imagine.
obviously you did play a decent amount freshman year, didn't you? Like
Yeah, there came
15
a
plus
point.
games.
It was like a preseason started to figure out like, actually, I went into the first game of the year, the first like regular season game of the year. I subbed in like the 80th minute. Um, we were playing like Florida International or something, like a good team. And I subbed in like the 80th minute. And in college, you can like sub back out, or
Right.
you can go in and come back out, whatever. And the first play, this guy in front of me gets it, and I'm freaking out, I guess. I sprint up to him and just clear out both his feet, get a yellow card. Coach pulls me. I played for 90 seconds. So that was the first game of my college experience.
Yeah,
Yellow card in
remember
90 seconds. And then, yeah, something turned around eventually.
remember when I said he was a level-headed guy? There was that. That did happen every now and then.
Yeah,
Um,
there were some moments.
Jace, I know Jace wanted to discuss a little bit of your academy to collegiate jump and how different that is. Obviously, MUS was nothing, but
Right, yeah. And you talked about the schooling already, but what about like the intensity? Like training, practice, was it
Academy
like
to
on
college, you're
par,
saying?
similar to the academy, or was college either lesser or more intense?
More intense just because the physicality. Like the academy, the thing that was so beneficial for me was the technical work. Like it was so, a lot of these MLS clubs now are run by Europeans, like the heads of the academy, director of the academy, are these European guys. And the focus and development is your technique. Anyone can be a good athlete, but if you don't have the technique, then you're not going to make it. If you're just an athlete, you're not going to make it. If you're not an athlete and you have the technique, you're not going to make it. You kind of have to have both. And so you learn that technique, and that's why it was so important for me. And when you get to college, it's kind of notorious. It's a lot less of that, but physically, it's such a step above. I mean, these are legit athletes. Like we'll be in the gym, and another team will be in there. I'm not talking about like football or baseball or something, but like a lacrosse team, and these guys are beasts, right? Like a lot of these guys in this UNC lacrosse team played legit high school football, and we've got our older guys throwing up the same amount of weight, and so it's just like a totally different animal. And then it just takes some time getting used to. Like it probably took a full year to catch up. Just the physical side of it, and along with the strength of the physical thing, right? There's like the speed. Like everyone's fast, and not just physically fast runner. Like they play fast, they think fast. That's like when you watch the Prem. Some guys make it look so easy. It's just because they know, like they're so smart, and that's just their ability to like think the game faster than everyone else. And so that was the jump.
There was that video, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, of Yuri Tielemans did like the body cam in preseason, and it was everybody who said that like we can score goals or whatever. I could score 5 goals in the Premier League, immediately shut the hell up. Like
you couldn't complete 5 passes
so fast
at this speed, let alone score a goal. Like, I mean,
so
like
fast.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about these clowns on the internet that are like, I could go in there and score a goal. And you see that body cam footage? I mean, the amount of times just his body turns looking.
He's looking the whole time.
Like, it's insane.
And it's the passing window. Like you see it on TV, it's like, oh, that pass is open. But in reality, it's not. Like by the time he takes that first touch, the window to hit a pass is like barely larger than the size of the ball. So you just got to be on time and rip that pass in there. And those guys are just different level.
They're freaks.
Different level.
They're freaks. And the thing is too,
freaks.
like,
because they're also athletes.
Yeah. The first touch there too is as crucial as the pass, right? Because first 100%. Touch sets everything up. And if you have a shit first touch, window's gone. And like that, it's just gone.
You can't play.
No. So it is, I think that would be my biggest thing, would be just the speed of the game, going from what you were used to versus anything. And then obviously physicality, because we did absolutely no strength and conditioning.
I didn't do anything.
What did you know favors in high school by allowing us to treat it like an absolute joke?
I didn't do anything. I mean, if I wasn't like born fast, I never would have been on a college team. But then you get there and it's like, well, everyone's fast. So
yeah,
like you better figure something else out.
You were significantly faster than anybody else. I do remember that, where I was like, good Lord, white boy, chill out.
Except for Michael. But, yeah.
Michael, good Lord. Michael, we're going to get Michael on one day.
Yeah, I should.
Greg Berhalter is a graduate of UNC and a national champion. 2 questions here just for you. Have you ever had the opportunity to meet him? 1, and 2, did you feel a sense of betrayal not getting that call to Qatar last year?
Totally betrayed. That was bullshit. Now, can you imagine though if I did?
I would have lost my mind.
I don't think I'd be on this podcast.
No, you wouldn't. No.
Yeah. But yeah, I did meet him. So he came. We had an alumni. There's an alumni weekend every year. He came my senior year because his son was on my team. So
that's cool.
I guess that's probably why he came. Yeah. So he plays for Vancouver now. Yeah, we met him there, and then my rookie year in the MLS, there was the bubble at Disney, and he was down there. I met him again there. I like said hey to him. Nothing special, but honestly, like a really good dude.
Seems really like the nicest guy. He does seem like a nice guy.
And I'm good friends with his son. Yeah, he's a nice guy. He gets a lot of heat, but any coach of the national team is going to get heat. And the whole story last year was crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, we don't need to dive into that.
Yeah, we don't need to dive into that. What an absurd thing that was.
That was at UNC too.
That's the craziest thing. Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Obviously, you just talked about the bubble. Your career at UNC ends. You get a ton of experience, all that stuff. Then COVID hits, and it's like, what the hell do I do here?
100%.
And
I mean, it was like Yeah, sorry, what?
No, I was gonna say, how weird was the draft process for you at that
It
point?
was weird. It was tough. It was like, I mean, you don't even know. It's weird because like you think the draft's still official. Like you think even for us, like, I had a couple teammates from college. We were going at the same time, and like you think that you would at least like hear something from the league, or like maybe you have to sign a form, or like you don't sign up for anything. You don't sign anything. There's no word from the league. Nothing. You get agents will approach you your senior year, um, and you kind of pick an agent, and they'll tell you whether or not they think you can make it, and then you get an invite to the combine or you don't. And we got invited. We went to the combine, and from there it's like, yeah, like the draft's in 3 weeks, right? So we're like, okay, like whatever that means. You might get a few calls. I had a few phone calls with some teams who just wanted to have a conversation before the draft, and then from there it's like you have no idea what's going on. You put on you watch the draft, and it's not the NFL or NBA, right? Like you watch because so much of it's not based around the draft. The league's not based around the draft at all. Those other leagues, and so you put it on and you watch yourself get picked, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm moving to San Jose. Like I
So
don't
yeah,
even know where that
what
is.
was that like?
And
You're
then
obviously from Tennessee. You went up north to Philly, but still East Coast. You went to UNC East Coast, and you watching the TV and you see San Jose Earthquakes, Jack Skahan. You're like, all right,
I was
off
like,
to the other
damn,
side of the
California,
country.
like that's so far. Like I remember thinking like I've been to the Bay Area. I like San Francisco, but I don't even like I don't know where San Jose is. I look it up and I'm like, oh, it's at the bottom of the bay. I've spent time in Palo Alto and San Francisco. I'm like, oh, that'll be all right. And San Jose is not Palo Alto or San Francisco. Um, and so we moved there, or I move in, and obviously, like you said, it's the bubble season, and we have this coach who doesn't speak English, and I'm, you know, definitely don't speak Spanish. And there's a translator who just follows them around the field or follows them around the hotel or preseason, whatever it is. So it ends up being I have this coach for 2.5 years, and I've never had a real conversation with him that isn't through a translator. And so like that first bubble year, not only can we not have a normal locker room or travel or anything, like I can't even have a conversation with my coach in a one-on-one scenario. And so it was just different, but part of that is probably the reason I'm still on an MLS team. Like you just learn to adapt, and one of the hardest things of playing a pro sport is, there's superstars in sports, but for everyone else, you're just trying to play more and get more goals or assists and keep your name around so that you can stay in the league. And that's for 90% of any professional sports league. That's what the players are trying to do. And so the COVID thing was a learning experience, but it is what it is.
Worked out for the best on the bright
And we had the
side.
bubble in Disney, and that was weird.
Yeah, I bet that had to be
It
just
did.
odd.
It worked out.
I
It was
would
weird.
imagine that like a bubble scenario coming into a league you don't know, not even a league you don't know, a profession. Like this is you are at that point a professional. You had, like you said, the draft process is you just watching the draft and being like, oh, nice, I'm on an MLS team. And then having to go
Yeah.
to preseason and just start grinding.
And we go to Cancun for like 4 weeks, and it's like 105 degrees. And I'm like, we're doing 2 days for like 38 days in a row.
Yeah,
It's
fuck
crazy.
that. Yeah, no,
It's
thank you.
crazy.
I'm good. I'm all right. Obviously I guess your keeping your name around moment was the goal against Toronto, 92nd minute. Have you ever had a goal feel like that before? Or was that's got to be one?
No, no. I mean, I think at the moment it's two, but at the time it happened, it was one. So it was like, first year, I'm not good enough to be honest with you. I played winger in college and all growing up really. And Matias, the coach at the time, he was this Argentinian legend. He played with Maradona, he played in World Cup, he played for, some of the biggest teams in Italy. And he's like, I think you're a center mid. And I'm like, I've really like at a high level, I've never really played center mid. So he's like, we're gonna take this year. You're gonna learn how to play center mid. I'm like, okay. So much practicing. I pretty much know I'm not going to play. He's like, you're not going to play, but we're going to keep you next year. So I get better and better. The next year, I'm getting better and better and start to play and feel like I should play more. Um, and then we go into the third year, and like a quarter of the way through, he's gone. An interim comes in, and the interim just doesn't really like me, won't really play me. And then I get subbed into this Toronto game, 1-0 down. Felt like I'd been disrespected for too long, and then that goal happened. So it was probably the most like proud goal because it was like I told you I could do this, right? Um I knew I could do this. You didn't believe me. I just showed you I could do it. And then from there things started to change. And then this past year was um much more of like a getting your name out there of being, there was a time frame where it was I was like a permanent starter until I got injured. And that happened, starting from that Toronto goal where you start to earn that respect. Because that's really what it is. You practice hard and people respect you from practice, and then you got to do it in games.
And I remember the celebration you had after, which is obviously you scored a 92nd minute winner or leveler.
Have
You're
to
going
go
to go
nuts.
nuts. Yeah, you have to go nuts. But it was a relief celebration almost from the looks of it. Like, F you, watch this, and boom,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. It was like there was definitely some anger in it.
Yeah.
Which is like not something I want, but it's one of those things where when you're playing, you do things that you don't normally do. Like, I mean, Draymond Green's a great example, but it's like things just come out. And I said some things in that celebration that I should have said 100%, but it is what it is. And I think I gained respect from some of the guys on the team from it. They were like, okay, he's a dog. He's
Yeah.
not just like a white dude from Tennessee. No, like, he's a dog.
He's got that in him. He's got that in him. And then this past year was
Yeah.
great. This past year was incredible.
When I was healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. When you
Yeah,
were
how was
healthy.
your health, by the way?
I'm good. I'm good. I just got so
Good.
unlucky. Like, yeah, I'm all good now. I'm ready to go. Hopefully this year I'm able to stay healthy because it was like they were kind of freak things. It was weird.
And that's the worst too,
Yeah,
when it's just like more than serious injuries. It's just like, what the fuck, dude? Just get me over this. And I'm sure you're just tired of talking to doctors at this point too, where you're like, please
100%.
stop.
I
Just
just want to
stop.
play
Yeah.
because it's also like you want to continue to prove yourself, and when you can't, and when you're rolling, like I finally, it took me. I got hurt in preseason this past year, and then it took me some time to get rolling. I start playing, play well, starting, play really well. We play Galaxy in the Stanford Stadium. There's like 65,000 people, and play really well. And after the game, talk to some of the guys on the team. Like that night, we're at a bar or something, and they're like, "Dude, like I think you made it. Like I think you've been grinding. Like I think you finally made it." And then from there, your confidence is high. So you just keep rolling. I keep starting. We get in the Leagues Cup in Portland. Um, it's a really tough place to play, and we're the first 15 minutes in the game, we're all over them. And I'm playing well, and then hamstring goes. Um, and from there, it's like, well, I'm out for like 6 weeks. So everything I just did is great, but if you can't stay healthy, it doesn't really mean anything. So I'm hoping to stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be tough. I know Jace really wanted to know the next
Yeah.
question we have for you.
Yeah, I want to take it back to what you said about your coach getting fired mid-season. There's always that, from the outside perspective, that new manager bounce, so to speak. What are the vibes in there like? Like, it seems like you respected the guy. I know you couldn't really talk to him besides through a translator. Interim comes in, mentioned, didn't love you. But what is like the whole locker room vibe like when something like that happens? Like, is it like, shit, we should have done better? Or is it like, kind of a, I don't know, breath of fresh air?
I think it's a breath of fresh air because a lot of guys, I think, were ready to move on. I think a lot of guys thought that he was ready to move on in that scenario, and so it was like, okay, if he wants to move on and go to Europe, which is what he did, he's crushing it. Then let him do it, and let's move on. Like we need to allow ourselves to move on. So it's like I think there's a little bit of a relief. Like it depends on the guy too, right? Like if you're one of his guys and he leaves, you're like, shit, that was kind of my ticket. And if you're not one of his guys and any coach leaves, you're like, well, this is a new opportunity. Um, so I think everyone has a different perspective, but it's weird in the locker room because it's not a college team in the sense that everyone's friends. Like everyone's definitely not friends. Like you have friends in the locker room, but it is every man for himself in a lot of ways. And some people make a ton of money, and they're looking to sign that next contract, whether it's there or anywhere else. Like, it doesn't really matter when you're on that kind of money.
Yeah. I can't,
Um,
I can imagine
And
a lot
so,
of people.
yeah, I think it just depends on the person.
I can imagine a lot of people are sitting there and kind of going, um, if we're not going to have a coach that is 100% bought in, it's tough for us to be 100% bought in. Not that he wasn't, but it was almost like there's a one eye on the future for the coach. There's one eye on the future for the players. That there's that disconnect starts to happen. That I can see why the bounce you get and players get in a locker room gets when a coach leaves and a new guy comes in.
Yeah, and it's tough because they were successful with them and then also unsuccessful with them. So it's like, well, we had great times, but at the same time, I think it's time for everyone to move on. And so I think it was good timing.
Yeah,
It's just kind of the way it rolls.
which
But that's
makes
the thing in terms of like the Premier League. Like, I mean, those locker rooms during those situations must just be crazy. Like guys just completely screwing off practice. I don't care. I'm going to go somewhere else because that's what happens.
I cannot imagine being on six figures a week and just being like, I'll be 30 minutes late to practice,
It definitely happens.
which is just wild. It happens at
Yeah.
United more than most, I think. So that's just
Yeah.
great for me. And let's get, I guess, Jace, do you have anything else from San Jose time before? Because I want to save some of this stuff for recurring times when Jack comes back on.
Yeah, we can come back to some stuff.
Okay. All right, good. Let's finish it out with some quick fire questions for you. I want to know the best player you've played with and then also against in your time in the MLS.
I got a teammate Christian Espinoza. He was in the MVP race for a while. I mean, he's just like a horse. Like he's just an animal. Every day he's just on top of it. Left foot, right foot, can just rip a shot. He's unbelievable. Best player I've played against directly in the midfield is Ricky Puig. And this is like 6 months to a year after coming to the Galaxy from Barca. And he's just like unbelievable. He's just unbelievable. He's fast. His touch is never off. And he's one of the best dribblers I've ever seen. He's just really hard to play against.
I remember when that transfer happened, I was thinking this dude is about to tear it up because he's young enough to where it's like, dude, you just came
He's
from
like
Barcelona.
23.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
just came from Barcelona. You're gonna have all that skill set from the Barcelona academy, and you're gonna take it to the MLS at that age. That's crazy. And
Crazy.
I can imagine that was a tough test. And you got a goal that game, didn't you?
I did. And he didn't.
That's right, you did. That's right. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure that's the game I texted you after. Congrats on being the mayor of Los Angeles. Uh, and then next one, your favorite player you've played with. So it doesn't have to be the best, but just your favorite.
Played with our striker right now, Jeremy Abobasi. He's a stud. I like playing with him. We see the game pretty similarly, so I think we both understand how to play together. And when I'll play the 10. I'll play like attacking mid, and he's the 9, obviously. So we're making a lot of runs off of each other, and we play well together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I guess the favorite game you've been involved in.
It's got to be that. So far, it's got to be that game at Stanford this past year against Galaxy. It was just kind of surreal.
Packed crowd.
Packed and yeah, and I mean it's biased because I scored, but like when you score that goal, it's like it doesn't even feel like you're in real life, and that's kind of like the first. It was the first. Like when I scored the Toronto goal, it was like, oh, like we're in Toronto, we're not even home. But scoring that goal at Stanford, it's like 65,000 people screaming. Is like pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's got to be just
And
incredible.
it makes you like want to keep scoring. It's like it's kind of like drugs. Like, you just kind of want to, yeah. It kind of hooks you.
It's a literal high that you cannot get anywhere
it's a high,
else.
100%. It doesn't feel real.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can only imagine that game, especially against who you were playing too. Like LA Galaxy,
exactly.
the name stays, getting a goal in that game. Awesome. I'm assuming the favorite stadium you've played in would be that stadium because of the environment you had.
The environment, yeah. We played in Levi's, the 49ers stadium against LAFC.
Ooh,
that was pretty cool.
That's pretty dope.
And then LAFC stadium in LA is badass.
Okay.
Nashville's is badass because they pack it out. Those are probably the best.
They like MLS is doing a really good job of creating environments that they're not even like regular soccer environments that are in Europe and what we're used to. They're like party environments almost. where it's
Yeah,
like
100%.
people are going to come get wasted in the boxes. All the people in the fan sections are going
Wasted.
crazy, and it's just awesome.
And that's what people like. I know Austin's got a great environment, and I know a couple guys who went to games there, and they're like, it's like a party the whole time. It's exactly what it is because these people just keep drinking.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
So funny. All
it
right,
works.
our final question for you: your favorite two high school teammates not named Matthew Davidoff.
It's got to be you two.
That's
Honestly,
right.
that's honestly the truth too. I'm not just saying that.
I
We had a
appreciate it.
sweet time senior year. It was a good time.
We had. I don't think I will ever have more fun in an athletic setting because, well, one, I probably won't be in one for a long time, but two, then we've been in that like 6 to 8 month stretch we had of doing preseason and then into the actual season. I mean, I've never had
Yeah, it was awesome, and we had such a good group of guys.
dude.
And
There
the
was
fact that we didn't win is crazy.
I think it's probably because we had too much fun.
yeah,
Yeah, it might be.
we were literally having too much fun together that we were like, oh shit, we need to start winning games. Crap,
Yeah.
forgot
Oh,
about
we have
that.
a game. Shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
nothing will ever beat the Michael suspension game we had to schedule at Saturday at 9 a.m. Oh
Crazy.
my gosh, we had I think the most red cards out of any team in the area. It was
It
just
had to be.
it
Probably in
was
TSSAA, to be honest.
Yeah, it had to be.
it was a fraternity almost. It was literally
Yeah,
like
it was.
everybody was friends, everybody was close together. I don't think I'll ever go through something like that senior year we had.
No. But I guess that's what high school soccer is too at the same time, but it was
Exactly.
awesome.
It was incredible. All right, Jack, we're gonna have you back on very soon. We'll get Matthew on here with
Anytime.
you. We'll dive back into the more MLS stuff as you go along because more goals are coming your way, more assists are
Let's do
coming.
it like throughout the season.
Dude,
Let's
that's
just
what I
do it
want to
I'd
throughout the
do.
love
season.
to.
Yeah.
I
Would
would
love to.
love to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Little
We can start
check-ins
like
with you.
preseason and then every like whatever check-ins. Let's do it.
All right. See, this is what we need. This is what we need.
Yeah.
Our own little planner. All right. This is perfect. Jack, you've been great. We will see you again very, very soon. We appreciate it.
See you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks, Jack.
Okay. Welcome back. Double J weekend preview. That was Jack. He will be back. Jack will be back. Crazy. Jack will be back periodically throughout the year. Hopefully, we're looking at more MLS players are going to be coming through this podcast, and we're going to get more interviews as this goes along. So, hopefully, everybody enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. I know Jace enjoyed it. Dogs of the weekend time as we get into this weekend. Jace, your favorite top dogs from this weekend?
Favorite top dogs, Newcastle, who are only minus 160 at Luton. I know I predicted a draw, but the
Weird.
more I think about it, the more I think they're going to pull one out.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I'm not the most overconfident in that one, but I like Bournemouth as well, and I like Fulham.
Okay. I'm getting to the odds as we say it. Obviously, I like Villa, but Villa are such high odds now at home. Vegas is caught on. Everybody's caught on that it's kind of tough to put them as top dogs. So I'll put Villa. I will agree with Jace on Newcastle hesitantly. No, I won't. No, I won't. I will not agree with Jace on Newcastle. Villa and full no, because I picked a draw on that one. Villa. Villa. That's it. That's all I've got. Villa's my top dog. Jace, your favorite underdogs?
Arsenal plus 190 at Liverpool. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I don't think it's going to be a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's it. United and West Ham are dead even odds,
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
not going to
weird.
pick. I'm not going to pick one of them either way. And then we obviously we just had Brighton and Palace tie 1-1 yet again. That we were talking about because we obviously did this over 2 days because of our interview. But yeah, so I'm just going to go Arsenal.
Okay. I have Arsenal as well. I also have Everton plus 310 with the form that they're in is a little wild. And then I'm obviously going with United at plus 160. I see a plus sign next to United. I like.
That counts as an underdog, even if the odds are dead even.
Yes. Okay. Your favorite dogs this weekend?
Declan Rice, for
Yeah.
sure. I think this game's going to be huge for him. He's going to control the midfield. Um, I kind of want to say Rashford if he comes back in. I don't know. I just kind of have a weird feeling, but
Yeah.
we don't even know if he's going to come back in. But
No.
I kind of have a weird feeling if he does. Give me Ollie Watkins 2+ goals as well against Sheffield United.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I'm gonna go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Maybe a little bit of a surprise for people. No Abdoulaye Doucouré. Everton are gonna be looking for goals somewhere. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin can be that guy they look for goals against Tottenham this weekend. I agree with Declan Rice. I'm gonna change a little bit. I'm gonna go Bukayo Saka, a guy who needs a goal, not need a goal, but a goal at Anfield would absolutely skyrocket his season into, I think, a different dimension than it's in right now, which would be crazy. Being that leader and being the main man for goals out of that Arsenal team, if they're to win the league, would be a jump even that I wasn't expecting him to make this season. And then I'm going to tail Jason on Ollie Watkins. Sure, Ollie Watkins, and then finally, everybody knows Rasmus Højlund, obviously. It's happening this weekend. It's happening this weekend. We're going to finally do it. First goal in the Premier League. Yes. Okay.
Right. Every week until he scores.
I have to. I mean, at this point, I have to. I've been doing it I think I've been doing it anyway. Final dog, actually, one more because he's got that dog in him. Ja Morant, 12 Morant, back in Memphis. If anybody didn't see, 39 points and a game winner buzzer beater on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
And it's hard to get the days around Christmas. I'm going to be honest. They run together. Ja Morant tonight against the Pacers in Memphis. Dub. All right. That's us. I hope everybody enjoyed the interview. Jack will be back on periodically throughout the season, periodically before the season. We're going to get a lot more into that. We'll get a lot more into all this stuff. I've been Dylan.
I've been Jace. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Obviously, Monday is Christmas. Me and Jace are not recording on Christmas. There's no way our mothers will allow that. So I'm going to be upfront and honest there. There's no way. Recording Tuesday, Matthew on the pod Tuesday. So everybody get up for that. All right. Peace.